Okay, again, first day at this mini Intro to Humanities. You don't have the ability to be able to ask me questions as we talk. So in this class, please ask as many questions as you want because I'm here. Harder to do that when it's not live, right? This is to benefit you. This is to help you and to give you a sampling of all the humanities that we cover and the content and the things that are there. So if for here we go. All right. Just to let you know, all right, you see the screen. This fall alone, I've got a mini B online. I have you guys, and I have a full semester online course and 2 other public speaking classes. If you email a professor, let me back up. I'm going to try and give you some tips for a bunch of different college courses. If you email a professor, be very specific of which class you're in and which assignment you're referring to. Hey, Mr. Palk, I'm in your humanities class. Okay, which one of that? I've got 60 in one of these. All right, I've got 60 in another one of these, and then I've got you see my problem here. Okay, just a pro tip: you want to get your answer quickly. Hey, will you accept this late assignment? Go ahead and put the assignment in there with it, right? And we'll go ahead and the reason why I'm going to give you some of those pointers as well is because if you take a history class, it's different than an art class. If you take a philosophy class, it's different than an art class, than a history class. Take a public speaking class, it's more interactive. We're going to be, and we have a history version in a week, in a module here. We have an art version in a module here in this semester that you're taking. And so the assignments are different. And I want you to get some things that I learned over the years. So to give you my background, I have a Master's of Divinity. Most masters are 30 hours long. Mine's 90, which is equivalent to 3. But I have more than that. I have about 160 graduate hours so that I could teach multiple different things. And so, but also, again, why am I telling you these things? It's not about me as much as I want you to bring in your experiences. Here's the syllabus from your backgrounds as well when you get into discussions. You don't have to necessarily give all of your credentials, but what I want you to see is that people from different cultures, different backgrounds, different parts of the same town grow up differently, see things differently, believe things differently, and will argue differently and will come across differently. All right? And that doesn't mean that you have to think they're wrong or that they're rude as much as that's just the way they are from New Jersey. That's just the way they are from different parts of New Jersey, right? So I'm giving you my background to give you some understanding, but I also don't want you to be afraid to come and speak to me. I've been in the military for 10 years. I'm I've pastored for 20 years. Okay. I've grew up in Madison, Florida, so I have some correlation. Know what it's like to grow up in a small town. I've lived there predominantly my whole life, but I've seen the world. In the Navy, I'm a chaplain, lieutenant commander. So that means I'm not one of those officers who knife hand people. I want you to come and I want you to feel free to email me as much as you need for this class. Make sense? If you don't email me, I can't help you if I don't know the issue. And this class is to open your aperture in your mind and your cultural awareness and of the humanities. And so we're going to define what the humanities are. We're going to go over 14 different subjects, but there's more than just so many humanities. There's some broad categories underneath those broad categories, okay? Now, so this is a course description that this is emphasizing the reasons for and humanity of creativity. This bridge course of the humanities encourages student appreciation of the humanities through experience and exploration of resources. In some or all of the following: literature, art, so these are the humanities. Some of these you may dislike. Some of you may have a fond affiliation with. Literature, art, various media. Art can come in many different forms. It's not just paintings, right? Philosophy, religion, music, film, television, dance, architecture, drama, photography. We're going to be taking pictures. We're going to be writing poems. We're going to be philosophizing. We're going to be looking at religions and studying them and comparing them as well. And your backgrounds come into play, right? and they help you understand the world that you see. And you have every right to believe and be who you are and the way you are. And we can't be no one else other than ourselves, but we need to be able to appreciate others. I'm a Christian. You may not be. That doesn't mean that I can't teach with you, learn from you, hear you share. I've had former Hindus come and speak in my class. But as being in the Navy, that's allowed me to travel the world. I spent a year in the Middle East and was in 10 different countries multiple times. Last year, I deployed for 7 months to the Mediterranean. So I was in 9 different countries: Croatia, Italy, Israel, Egypt, different parts of Greece. I've been to Sardinia, which is a part of Italy, Spain. Just gives me, just growing and building my knowledge. Many of you have gone and been to places I haven't been, and have done things even here and explored art in ways that I haven't. And you bring value to this discussion. And so we're going to expose you. I'm just being exposed to these broad topics. I will not walk away from a module. They're housed in modules, being an expert in Christianity, even though I've been a Christian. Okay, even though I am a Christian, you're an expert in your world. Okay, but there are many flavors of Christianity. Okay, and I want you to be able to express them if you so. But that's what humanities are: how we express ourselves in different forms. If you need to come to the campus, want to set some office hours, we can do that. I'm in Building 7, Room 1. If you want to us meet before or after, we can set that up. I'm going to try and get here earlier or later, stay a little later if needed, and to help you with any of these kinds of things. There's my office number. If you call my office phone number and you leave a voicemail, it actually goes to my email. It sounds weird, but it'll leave me a voicemail in my email. Whatever version you want to do to try and reach me, that's fine. When I receive texts, I usually get them on my when I receive emails, I get them on my phone. I'm typically able to reply pretty quickly, but if it's on the weekend, I may or may not answer it. It's my weekend, or maybe in this coming weekend I'll be in Norfolk, Virginia with some ships. So, all right. So, grading. Give me 7 days, but here's the deal. These first modules, I'm going to grade the first one, and then it'll be 2 or 3 weeks when you've completed all 7 of them, whether they be in class or online. Then I'll need to grade them because you'll need to reply to others. So I won't get a lot of grades from me in regards to the discussions online. The quizzes will grade themselves automatically. All right, and so and we'll talk about those. The textbook, it is comprised of samplings of different writings, articles, like academic journals from Harvard University we look at what are the humanities. You get a sampling of some upper level academic material. I don't understand, it's over my head. Well, don't freak out, we're just discussing about it. Literally, that's what it is. I want you to read it, try to read it. Follow my directions, because I may say, I don't want you to read all of it, I want you to read just these sections. Or I want you to choose some sections in Christianity out of one article. I'm selecting different regions around the world. It's a PDF, The Growth of Christianity, and it's around the world. I want you to choose a region, and then choose, let's say Africa, and then choose a sub-region. And discuss that 2-page that you chose. It's usually on 2 pages. See, you don't have to read every region of the whole document. It may seem like a lot. It's not like that. Most of my readings, I'll give you the whole copy of Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin for your enjoyment. But for that assignment, what I want you to do, you'll have the whole book. It's on a PDF. It's free. And what you do is you need to just skim read and find excerpts that speak to the assignment. All right? Now, so let's talk about the grading. You will see that there are 2 exams, and they're worth 40%. One's 20 and one's 20, that equals 40. A midterm and a final. Open book with a study guide that gives you a direction. I don't have to give you a study guide. The study guide is already available. All right? And all you have to do is get in the general vicinity, refer to my readings. You can Google search answers. I don't care, but understand this. If you Google search an answer, it's not in the essence and tone of my writings and my lectures, and it may come across a little different. It may not be as sharp as if you just get the information from my material, where it should come from. I need to see you critically thinking when you write in the discussions or when you write essay answers. Essay answers are going to be maybe 2 to 3 paragraphs. Okay, so for your midterm, there's about 3 essay questions. You'll have those questions, the actual question in advance. The multiple choice questions, you'll just get a generality of what you need to focus on, like Martin Luther's 95 Theses. Well, what is the actual question? You need to read over Martin Luther's 95 Theses and what was its intent, what was its purpose, and we discussed that in my lecture notes. All right. So then a final will be over the second half. It won't include the whole semester. It'll be the second sections of modules 8 through 13. That test will be just over modules 8 through 13. All right. And again, pause, ask questions, raise your hand, jump in. All right. You will have quizzes. 25% of your grade. That's a lot for quizzes. Because I need you to be reading material, and there's a lot of material, and it's you applying yourself with the material. By you taking these 10 question, 14 question, multiple choice quizzes, that'll let me know you're applying yourself and at least reading. And I just take straight from most of the time I take straight from the readings, but I can take them from my lectures as well. There are, I think it's the module 6 has a short response in it. You will automatically receive an F for that, because when it automatically grades, it pops up, and I have to manually grade. It's aggravating, it's quirky. I know some of you are going to freak out because you never got an F before. You only have an F for just a few days, all right? And then I will supersede it with the actual grade. Make sense? All right. Now, discussion forum posts, 35% of your grade. I know it says 20. I need to fix that. But 35% of your grade, a 300-word minimum. In my full-term online class, they have 14 discussion posts over 14 weeks. Okay? That's 300 words each week. Bam, bam, bam. That's a lot. But it's not research essays. 300 words is 2 pages double-spaced. You don't have to have full citations and be so formal, and there's no cover page. We're having an online discussion. An online discussion is not using text language. Online discussions do need to have separated paragraphs. They've got 3 questions, 3 paragraphs will be sufficient. 300 words. If you write 500 words, you are going over and above, and you're actually going against the directions. Shoot for around 300 to 350. 400 is fine. But if you write 600 words, ain't nobody wanting to discuss with you because I got twice as much to read. I'm going to skip over yours and go to somebody who's got a shorter response I can reply to. It's like that person who takes up all the room, just talks. I don't want to hear your answer. But there's an art to being concise with your answers as well. Not just an art. You need to be disciplined to be concise with your answers and get to the point and take out all the fluff. Only thing grammatically I'm going to focus on is that you create paragraphs, because this is just a discussion. It doesn't have to be exact answers, but I want you to read the material, critically think about the answers, and reply to 2 others. The replies are 50 words each, so that's a total of 300, 400 words. If you add the 2 replies, 50 words, 50 words. If you don't reply, you don't have to. All you can make is a C. So it's 4 points. If you don't reply, you lose a point, so 3 out of 4 is a 75. Make sense? Because you have 3 quarters. 4 quarters is $1. See how to do the math. Now, but grammatically, just indent your paragraphs, or at least create a separate space. So if you have one long block paragraph, it's like people having to hold their breath. Imagine reading essay, research paper, and it's just one long block paragraph. It's like hold my breath for a long period of time. I need to see you transition into another answer or another question. Do not have to write the questions. If that helps you, you can, and then you write the answer under it. I would type them up in Word, save it, and then pop them into the discussion. Copy and paste questions, put it in Word, save it, and that way you'll never get lost. You type it up in discussion, and your internet drops out. Oh, I got to rewrite that whole bad boy. Make sense? Yes?
Wait a minute, I'm sorry. Could you say the first part of that again?
If you type up, when you open up the discussion board in D2L content, I would take the questions and put the questions in a Microsoft Word document, save it, put my answers in there, save it as I go. That way, I know it's being saved, and I'll never lose them unless my computer gets destroyed or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. If you save them in the cloud, it's even better. But if you tried to, internet world can be funky. If you tried to write up your discussion, you're halfway through and you got a lot of it written, the internet dies, you got to log back in and everything, it might not be there. Yeah. Yep. So when you're typing up your discussion post, which is worth 3 out of those 4 points, 300, 350 words, writing just 300, you probably do fine. You can still make an A on it, right? But I need you to spell check. I need you to capitalize the first letter in each sentence. Use your periods. This isn't just text speak. But this is the only thing grammatically I want you to focus on. Do not use it or the word this. The word it and this are never going to be your friends. Remember, I teach public speaking communication. Doesn't mean I'm perfect. But what it does mean is I try to be more clear and specific in what I'm saying. Take that tip into your English class, into your other classes. Your grades will improve. I've learned by the red pen being bloodied up all over my papers that I turned in that being unclear is just as bad as misspelling. All right? Why it or this? Here's an example. I went to the grocery store the other day and I bought some bread, some milk, and some eggs. When I got home, I found out that it was spoiled. It was spoiled. Were all three spoiled, or it's unclear? So what you do, easy. Type it up, use it or this. Go back. When you find it, take it out, put the word you meant in there. Okay? That can be funky as well, the word that, but there's specific times when that is okay. If you look at my writing guide, which you do not have a research essay, but you do have essay answers you need to type up, don't focus on my writing guide. Just don't use it or this, and just hit the paragraphs. Get the length I want. 3 paragraphs for a test. Give me 3 paragraphs. You'll be good. Seeing you critically think, that's what I'm thinking, because we're exposing you to the topics, right? That's what I'm focusing on. All right, now, but this part about being clear is when you're having discussions about art, it's because what's it because? Don't you see it? What do you mean? That's like my wife saying, it's over there in the, like, where's the spatula? It's over there in that drawer. There's 50 drawers. Okay? Now, again, let me reemphasize, the questions, if you put them in the discussions, they will not count towards your word count because they're my questions. Okay? There are some quick tools you can get to. Microsoft Word will tell you how many words you have, but there's some quick tools this is what I do when I'm grading them. I highlight it, right click, and it gives me a word count because I have that built into my Google as a thing you can add into Google to allow you to give you your automatic word count. Now, let's see. All right, there's my writing guide. It's available to you just to help you. I no longer give a research paper. An A is not satisfactory work or even better than satisfactory work. It goes above and beyond. Don't think that I'm like one of those stingy professors that just don't give A's. No one's good enough for an A work. No. Predominantly, if you're wondering, most people do really well in these classes because it's just an introductory survey course if you do the assignments. But with those types of courses, it's also easy to do bad. If you don't do the assignments, they're going to hurt more. So just do the assignments and communicate if you have a legitimate excuse. Hey, I got a car, or I got a doctor's note, or there's some things I'm leaning on, some things I'm not. All right. Now there's some objectives about that we have to put in there. All right. I do take roll for this class because specifically I'm going to assign some to be online discussions that you need to do because we're not going to have time to cover them all, and I'll cover them in class. And if you don't come for the in-class one, I'm not going to be able to give you credit for the one I did in class because you really didn't cover it with us. Well, I can go and watch your video lecture, but you didn't have the live discussion that I'm going to have and interact with you and what that incorporates. All right, so late work. This says I won't accept late work without penalty. And if I do, it'll be 10 points per day. And so just communicate as you need to. If you think it's a legitimate excuse, just ask. I may just be feeling nice that day. Don't plagiarize. If I catch it, I'll turn you in. All right, there'll be some mini semester early alert. If I see you're not engaging like I need you to, you may get earlier. You're not in trouble if you get an early alert. It's just, hey, I'm trying to help you. You realize we're not that hard to get a hold of, and we really want to help you. My job is to help you. You will never be bothering me. Okay, so email me, work with me. Sometimes people will go to peer tutors and the library and everybody else before they come to the professor. I'm the one that makes these assignments and creates the whole course from scratch. Just come to me, make your life a whole lot easier. All right? Now, I know not all professors are like that, but that's how I roll. Each week, all right, these are the first 7 modules. Bam, all there. If I put a week by it, that'd be 7 weeks. But we're not going to do that. November 12th. It's already October 15th, 17th, so it's less than a month to cover all of these. So that means you're going to need to do some, and I'm going to need to do some. So let's look at a calendar. If today is the 17th, we need to do one today. I think that would benefit. This one don't show me a calendar. Let's see. Let's pull up a calendar. All right, quarterly calendar. I don't want to buy one. 2023. That's showing different images. I just want to see a calendar. This is funky. Usually it's just each month. There it is. Let's see if it does it that way. Hey, yay! All right, so if that's November and on the 12th, let's see. All right, this is October 15th, this week. We'll probably cover what are humanities, that module. That's the first module. We've got Christianity, Islam, philosophy, Christianity, Islam, and then we'll have some others there. And so we'll need to cover. Well, we'll be here. Will we be here the 24th? Yes, and the 31st. So that's 1, 2 we'll be able to do in class. 3, we'll be able to do 3 in class. Let's see. Today's 1, 2, 3, 4 in class. And then the rest of them are due by November 12th. Okay, so I'm doing more than half of the 7. We'll do 4 in class and 3 you need to do online. All right. So let's look at those 7. I'm going to do what are the humanities. This says due October 22nd. This is based off of my online class. I gave them that deadline because I wanted them to turn in an online discussion so they know how I grade the online discussions at the get-go. I'm going to give you all the option. You want to do one? This, what are the humanities and what are strong sources is not that difficult, but I can do that one today. But notice this is November 12th. And basically all the 7 will do November 12th, but there's no, the quizzes, you'll need to do every quiz. But which ones of these 4 do you want me to do? Just blurt it out if you say, I do want you to do the one on Islam, because people, I'll be able to give you things that even my lecture notes won't be able to give since I've lived there. And especially it's interesting, Christianity and Islam, because we're dealing with that war in Israel. Yeah. I will want you to do one pretty soon so you'll know how the grading is. We only got 3 weeks coming up, right? November 12th is not that far away. So do you want to do module 2, make it due pretty soon? Yeah, Module 2 is a fun one. There's a video in there you can watch. There'll be a lecture, and you'll need to read my lecture notes. I'll show you where they're at. They're below the slides. You need to download the PowerPoints, if there's a PowerPoint, and look at the notes view. All right, so let's make Greek life and philosophy due October 22nd. So when you leave today, which was already Tuesday, I'll push it out to next class time, next Tuesday, so you'll have a full week. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll type it up. I'll put it in the D2L news page is where I'll give you updates. All right? And Greek life and philosophy will be due October 22nd. Well, 24th, I think, because that's a Sunday. Will be next Tuesday. But then we have before class. Let's do it that way. That way you got an actual deadline. Now, the rest of them will be November 12th, except for the others that I teach. I'm teaching this one. You're teaching that one. So I need to do 4. Do you want me to teach Christianity, Islam, medieval philosophy, Italian Renaissance, the Reformation, Protestant Catholic Reformation? Module 8 is on the Baroque period. That way, it's like the extenuation. It's like the Renaissance on steroids. It's probably the most beautiful art we'll be able to see. I'm going to teach Baroque for you. Any suggestions? You may just pick some and go with it. Yes, ma'am. Yep. So I think that would be very beneficial for me to teach you the Islam one, because living in the Middle East, and it's just, you can read the material, but me giving you things that, so you do not have to do the online discussion for Module 4 or Module 1. We need to pick 2 others. I can do Christianity as well. I mean, there's a lot more to it than you think, because we've got so many different versions of Christianity, and some that are non-Orthodox as well. Renaissance is pretty interesting. But here's the thing: when we go to the Reformation, that's going to cover some of Christianity as well, based off some different, not just historically, we're going to talk about Martin Luther or the other reformers that broke away from the Catholic Church, but some of the beliefs that accompany that as well, that made them different. So what do you think? Any thoughts? Let me just pick them and let you know. You want me to do Module 6? Okay. So I will do 1, I will do 4 and 6. 1, 4, and 6. I need one more. All right. That'll be pretty simple then. 1, 3, 4, and 6. 1, 3, 4, and 6. Okay. You need to do Module 2 before next class period, and you'll need to do 5 and 7 before November 12th, which is not too far away, less than a month. Okay. You will be able to turn them in at any time, but I would suggest you wait and let me grade that first one for you. You can go ahead and work on the others, but don't submit them yet, so you can fine tune them. But you'll get the gist of it, I think. Okay. Each module does have a quiz. You do need to do the quiz for each one, even if you do come for the ones in class. Unless I'll say, y'all showed up. If everybody shows up, I'll say, we'll just go over the quiz in class, and that'll count as credit, and you won't even have to do that one. Yes, ma'am. Question?
Yes, sir. Did you say Module 5 and 7 are due before the 12th, or just 7?
Nope. The only one that's due next week is Module 2. The rest of them that are not in class, which are 5 and 7, will be due the 12th. Okay, and I'll have this lecture for y'all to review. All right, so as you can see, then you'll have, starting the 12th through the 19th, you'll have a week window to take that midterm exam. But don't lollygag and say, oh, I'm just going to wait, because the other modules start up already. All right, so from November 19th to December 4th, look how close November 19th is to December 4th. There's not as many, but I'm going to teach some, and you're going to have to do the rest. Now, 13 and 14 are really the same thing. You're going to create a module, and you'll need to reply to the module. So don't look at it as 14. It's 7 more modules. It's just my way of balancing it out. And in my longer classes, I do things different with them a little bit. And we'll choose which ones I teach in class based off the weeks that we have available, because I think we got a turkey break in there somewhere, right? Okay? And then we'll go from there. You'll get the gist of the class and the feel of it. And then the final exam will be due December 8th. All right. Online academic honesty, just don't cheat. Don't collude, meaning get someone else to do your work for you. I actually have caught people doing that. And just be original when you're working. It'll be a lot easier. If you just read something, put in your own thoughts, it's a whole lot easier. It takes less time. And I need to hear you thinking. That's the kind of answers I'm looking for, not the precise, specific answer from the book. Maybe for the quizzes, maybe, but not in any of the things that are written out. All right. Questions about the syllabus? It's 12:40, so we've got about 30 minutes to go over Module 1. This is weird. How do I get out of this view? Close it? I have to open it back up. All right. Let's cover Module 1 in 30 minutes. There's a welcome. I do need you. I'm going to change this. This will say Module 1. I'll change it to Module 2. So Module 2 will be due by the end of the week. Next, take the attendance quiz and the syllabus quiz. I know that's two different things. Why the attendance quiz is, hey, I'm here. Syllabus quiz is, I've read the syllabus, and that way you reviewed it well. All right, and the syllabus quiz, attendance quiz, Module 2 quiz, and Module 2 discussion will be due October 22nd. Now, you can sign up for instructions that'll give you updates to your phone when, hey, there's something new posted. That's right there as well. All right, this lecture is a 16-minute version of sort of what I went over today. I'll probably just replace it with this one. All right, what are the humanities? Here's Module 1. I know it says October 22nd. I'm going to go over this now, okay? So how does this work? To begin a module, you find that in the content section D2L, which I'm fixing to do. Read the objectives and the assignment and the content and the readings and or videos. There'll be a variety of different things. Each week is different. Imagine I wasn't there and I'm going to give you the material I at least want you to be exposed to, right? You have the added benefit of us having lecture on face-to-face and in-class discussion, and so that will enhance our understanding of hearing others and hearing me discuss the material. Take the open note quiz, open note quizzes, open note midterm and final. Have them all open there. You can Google search stuff if you have to. But by the way, for the midterm and study guide, I want you to understand that you need to write out your essay answers before you start that test. And I'll go over that, the week of when the test is due. We'll review the week of, which is a good benefit for coming to class as well. We'll go over the essay questions in class with you of what they should look like. I'm not trying to get you. Do you know the answer? I'm trying to help you understand how to articulate answers and questions and how to discuss things critically, not just finding answers and just summarizing what you read. That's not the goal, right? Anybody can do that. All right, so once you've taken the quiz, post to the discussions, because there's many discussions going on. You're reading someone else's discussion about that topic, right? Reread the syllabus requirements. Why do I put that in there? Because it states things like 300, 350 words and 2 replies are required. All right. Our class assignments will be driven by the modules and the content. I've opened all 7. You're welcome to jump into them, even if we're going to cover them in class, because you've got those quizzes to take, right? You can take them at any time you want. You can go ahead and take all of it if you want, but let me grade the discussion for you first. The due by November 12th, midterm exam November 19th. All right. Want to abuse these minutes courses so we can work ahead at your own pace. I suggest you complete the modules in an order with the corresponding quizzes and discussions because they're built chronologically. I start with ancient, the humanities, then I start with Greek philosophy, which is Module 2. Module 3 talks about Christianity, which starts 300 years after the prime time of the Greeks. Okay, and then Islam come into existence around 700 AD, about 500 years later. And then you've got, we go into medieval philosophy, which is about another 300 years. It's chronological. And then we go in medieval times, Dark Ages, with philosophy and culture. And then we go into the Reformation, which is around 1500. And then we go into from there chronologically, right? But pace yourself, do them in order. I think that's the best way to look at them. Email me as needed. By the way, my brother's email, who also teaches at NFC, is PalkD, one letter difference. And sometimes people shoot him something that's non-related to what he does. All right, so just be aware. So let's go to content. So content, discussions, quizzes, the Dropbox, grades. You will see on the left-hand side, syllabus, welcome class syllabus video. That's that blue one you saw on the main page. Grading criteria for discussion posts. Here's a rubric. You want to break it down even more, give you an idea. There's the study guides. They're there, they're available, they're unhidden. If you see something, I thought you said it was here. Sometimes it's always a little click I got to do. Please email me. Hey, Mr. Brock, I can't see this. I can't keep up with all of them, and I try to, but be glad to jump on it for you. All right, so I'm gonna go through a module for you with the remaining part of the time, and again, I'm just exposing you to the topic. I want you to just take it in, whatever it is. You may like it, you may not. I don't care. You need to see it. I think it's important. That's why I chose these. I think because of history, I think there's reasons why I chose these. I think of relevance. There's some important interest factor, something that applies to real life. And I think they all benefit us. We can learn from other cultures. We can learn from history, or we're doomed to repeat it in different ways. But history is a humanities. And so what are the humanities? Not just history. A lot of times people think just art when they think humanities, or just history, but it's way more than that. So read the objectives. Sometimes these are lengthy, sometimes they're not. Sometimes I put the discussion questions in here to help you as you read the material. Sometimes I do not. The discussions questions may be different than some of these driving thinking questions. Sometimes they're the same. What I would do is I would open up discussion, read the discussion questions, then open up the module and say, hey, what do I need to be looking for here? What am I going to be discussing? All right. You won't have to be doing anything online for this one because I'm going to be doing with you. All right. Define the humanities. All right. So let's do that. When you saw this course, what the heck is a humanities? All I know is I needed it for a requirement. I need to have 2 of them as a general elective. That's probably what some of you are in that boat. But when you saw humanities, what did you think the humanities were? I've already given you some of these answers, but let's talk about what you think they are and why you think we need to study them.
Art and music of the ages.
Okay? Culture, art, music of the ages, because that's creativity. There's interest in that, right? There's just exploring how we can, show off talent is more than what art is. All right? Yes, what were you thinking?
I had no idea just from looking at the course title, but I saw the back banner and I thought it was going to have something to do with art or history of some kind.
Yep.
Old painting.
Yeah, that old painting. This is a painting of Martin Luther standing before, I think it's Peter V, leader of France. He's standing, I think it was the Diet of Worms. I've been to Wittenberg, been to Germany, went on a Reformation tour of my seminary, and this is where he said, here I stand. They want him to recant, basically, his beliefs. My conscience is held captive by the word of God. I can do no other. Art, religion, history, belief, all those are our expressions wrapped into one. And many of them show themselves in that way. So, we're going to define the humanities, name a number of courses that are considered humanities: history, art, art history, art appreciation, actual taking and learning how to make art, right? Architecture, how buildings are constructed. This goes historically from how churches are built. It can be how you've got a ranch style home, how you decorate that home, what you put in that home, right? This could be clothing design, that's forms of art as well. The paintings themselves for art design and for clothing is its own field as well, because it's giving them prototypes of designs. See how we can explore many different things. Philosophy, that's module 2 and module 5, I think. How we think about what we think, what we believe about what we believe. Philosophy is the love of wisdom. It may bore you. Depends on the professor. Sometimes they can make it come to life. Same thing with history. You can make it come to life. Depends on you applying yourselves and asking the right questions. Why is this important to me? That's going back to philosophy. How do I become wiser in understanding what I'm applying myself with? Name a number of courses that are considered. Be able to differentiate between courses that are not humanities. Civics. Now, jurisprudence is a humanities because how we express ourselves with laws, but sociology is not a humanities. That's more of a science of humans and what they do. Biology is not a humanities. Okay? Religion courses are, philosophy courses are, but a biology course is not. Mathematics is not humanities. Okay? The history of mathematics may be. Did you know that we get algebra from Muslims? When Charlemagne, Charles the Great, started the first empire around 800 A.D., he had to beat back the Muslims from Spain that had come up as Islam started in 700. But he created a Renaissance that people don't talk about, and he created a peace, and he learned from the Muslims, and we get algebra from the Muslims. That's of a history. That's how they express themselves and how they're mathematics in a sense. But mathematics, learning the equation of all that is not. But we're going to see in module in the second module, we'll look at philosophy. You're going to look at Pythagoras, for instance. It's where I actually saw an article the other day. We think this is where we got the Pythagorean theorem. We believe he actually stole it from the Greeks, from the ancient Egyptians. Different people groups. But Pythagoras was a Greek, and we believe he got it from somebody else, but he gets the credit for it. All right. Because it goes back to Pythagoras believed that the essence of all things was numbers, and as a philosopher. And as the monists is what they were. They believed the essence of all things came from one thing. But after them, you get Socrates, and you get Plato, and that's in that module. And it's different. They don't think the essence of all things comes from one thing, fire or water or numbers. All right. So understand the importance of humanities. What are the humanities? Mapping the future of the humanities. This says read pages 1 and 2. Skip 3 through 11 and read pages 12 to 50. Here you'll find between the discussion. You need to do that. We're going to cover some of that. But that will, so you'll be ready for the quiz. And then there's a 2-pager on Nietzsche's Apollonian Dionysian discussion. And this really, below these objectives, you'll see the articles. Sometimes there'll be my PowerPoint. Sometimes there'll be a video. There's no PowerPoint. But let me show you while we're talking about that. Say in Christianity, which will be next week. There's my PowerPoint. If you just click on it, it's going to pull up the PowerPoint slide, but you will not see my notes. Okay? It takes a long time to prepare it too. Download my PowerPoint.
So if we download it and do it like with the notes on the side, you know how you can print it off with the little lines where they show your notes?
I want you to specifically look at it this way first. What is that? Compatibility notes. What is this? I don't know what that is. That's, whoa. Yeah. Something's, now, see, I'll open up a PowerPoint, enable editing. There are no notes here. There they are. If you hit Control F, you can search PowerPoints or PDFs that way. Maybe keywords for quizzes. Imagine that. All right. If you just look at the PowerPoint, though, it's going to look like this, and you won't see my notes. You just see the main points. All right. So what are the humanities? The first article that I give you, all right, let's do this. Look at the discussions. First, you need to introduce yourself to the rest of your class, and then what you need to do is read. This just gives you a sampling of what's in the syllabus. I don't think I do that every time, and then it goes into the question. What are the humanities? Assignments due, discussion posted quiz. After reading the syllabus and all the articles and links provided in the module content, answer the following. What are the humanities? 150 words, and what is the importance of the critical thinking in understanding humanities? I know that's a simple question. You should be able to answer that because we just talked about it. It should be a quick answer there, but what is the importance is where you can expound. So that's 150 words. That's 150 words. What distinguishes an Apollonian response to the humanities from a Dionysian response? Didn't create new paragraphs, reply to two others, shoot for 50 words per reply to two other students. Reply with substance. Don't just sit there and say, I like what you said. Ask them a question. Expound on why you like what they put in there, that you didn't see it that way originally and you appreciated their answer for that reason. Not just, I like what you said or I appreciate what you put in. But you do not have to do this discussion because we're doing it in class now. But that's how I would approach my discussions. After I look at the module, objectives, read the discussion that I need to post to, and then I can go in and look for how I can discuss the importance of humanities. So there's three here. First, remember part of that were what are the humanities? This one couple pages discusses and defines humanities for you. All right, it's not that long. Again, what I would do is just look and see how long it is. Okay, so it's going to take me long to read. All right. Humanities can be described as a study of how people process and document the human experience. I use the word how we express ourselves. All right. Since humans have been able, we use philosophy, literature, religion, art, music, history, and language. We didn't mention that one earlier. Express ourselves in languages and the different types of dialects. My son even said, Daddy, when you get around your buddies, you sound different. We use a different language. I don't start cussing or nothing like that. That's not how I roll, but I do put on a different kind of language. All right, these modes of expression have become some of the subjects that traditionally fall under the humanities umbrella. Knowledge of these records of human experience gives us, sounds like an important thing, the opportunity to feel a sense of connection to those who have come before us. That's important. That's why that we need to study humanities. The term humanities includes, but is not limited to the study of interpretation. This may be like a mashing of different definitions. Interpretation of the following: language, both modern and classical. Languages like Latin are no longer spoken, but are read. Comparative religion, ethics, didn't mention that one. History, criticism and theory of arts. Those aspects of social sciences which have humanistic content and employ humanistic methods, and the studied application of the humanities to the human environment with particular attention to reflecting our diverse heritage, traditions. You're going to do Thanksgiving different than I do it, right? And history, and to the relevance of the humanities to the current conditions of national life. Hopefully you walk away here and say, nobody does it anymore. Who goes to church anymore? And all those kinds of things. There's a world of people that express themselves in languages as you have no idea what's right in your vicinity. Anybody know anybody that's deaf and that knows sign language? there are communities of individuals in Perry that work with each other, have live with each other, have a culture, and how they express themselves with it. I don't know sign language, but I was like, man, I didn't realize it's like when they go up there in the clique, man, and I don't understand what they're saying.
When the Japs went to the school closed,
Yeah.
and then a lot of them went to Washington, D.C., I believe.
Oh wow. Now, the humanities includes the stories people tell and the art and music they make, the buildings they live and work in, and the list could go on. It's about finding answers to this question: what does being human mean? One of the assignments I've done in the class before is for extra credit. What I want you to do is find a historical marker. Take a picture of the marker front and back so we can read it. Create a discussion and then take a picture of the place. And that way, we don't have to, man, that looks like an old, interesting building. We're stopping for a moment. We get to see it and read it. Why did they put an historical marker there? And come to find out, man, I didn't realize this is where that started. Right? It's pretty interesting. We express ourselves. There's things that no longer exist, like the turpentine industry. The moss, the Spanish moss hanging in Madison. Perry used to be a part of Madison County, it used to be one larger county when it first existed. But Madison used to be harvest that moss, and when they made them old Model T Fords, it would be the stuffing in car seats. It's not just good for red bugs, moss, by the way. It's also was made for cushioning. But anyway, you learn those things by studying history, things that we no longer do. If I asked you what cat face was, anybody know what cat face is? Yeah, turpentine industry. In trees, you'd be walking in the woods and you see these marks. Looks like a bear called it up, but and they would draw the turpentine out of these trees and catch it in buckets, and you see a tree they call it cat face. Am I right? All right, I'm a lot older than I look, by the way, too. I'll let you guess how old I am. Now, some of the great skills. Now we're not just talking about what we can learn. These are skills that we can learn from the humanities. Ability to interpret texts, a greater creativity, thinking in new and different ways. Text can do with languages. So when we study religions like Christianity, I took a couple of years of Greek and a couple of years of Hebrew, and the Bible says, "Do not judge." Well, yeah, it does actually. And the Greek word for that, is regard to discernment. It's not judging someone to hell. It's making a discernment call that ain't right. Different type of way of judging people. Greater creativity, thinking in new and different ways, the ability to see things from different perspectives, the development of richer understanding of what other people are feeling and experiencing, deeper understanding of human nature, why and how people behave, and how to have more productive interactions and relationships, the ability to write clearly. Ooh, don't use it and this. Imagine. What's that got to do with humanities? In an organized manner, ability to see how text can be interpreted in different ways and how to marshal evidence to support interpretation. So I was in the Mediterranean for 7 months, as I told you, and I was Italy. Let me pull up a map here. Let me show you something that'll just get you to look at the world differently. Let's see. If we take a map of the Mediterranean. All right. Let me jump out here a little bit. There we go. All right, so this is the Mediterranean Sea. Here's Europe. There's North Africa right up here. The Middle East is here. Asia Minor, it's now Turkey, also known as Anatolia, different things. And now we're really all over the place. We're right here in the larger map. And so let's look at this one. Let's see if I can pull that one up. All right. So this is Italy, you can see the boot there, and this is Greece. Well, I was all in this area for 7 months on a ship. We got to go to a lot of these different countries. And there's a little city here called Alexandria. Anybody ever heard of Alexander the Great? Well, when he conquered the world around 300 BC, what he's going to do is he created what was called Hellenization. Hellenized. So where do you get that from? Elados is what, or Hellen looks like. if you look at Helen without the H, it looks like that's how they called Greece, what they called Greece, Hella, or Hellenized. And so in the Middle East, New Testament was written, actually the Septuagint, all of the Bible is written in Greek. And one version of it, originally the Old Testament was Hebrew. But you got Greek there. You've got Ephesus, which is a Greek city in Turkey. What? Well, that's where the banking system started in Ephesus, because they had to pay, trade that money for all them idols to the god of fertility. And then this god of fertility, Diana, or different names, Roman Greek sometimes, I found her when I was in Rome, when the popes were like kings. And when we went to Rome and I saw the Vatican, which is basically the capital, the headquarters for the Roman Catholic Church, they had a museum with Diana. It's basically the statue of this multi-breasted god that they got from Ephesus in Turkey, which was Greek, in Rome in Italy. And they built the Vatican out of one of the 7 wonders of the world, which was that temple at Ephesus to Diana, which was this giant, you know what Greece looks like. You see all these pillars, right? Well, that's what they built the Vatican with. They tore it all down from here and put it over in Rome.
Really?
Yeah. There are Egyptian sarcophaguses in Rome. What happens is when these places conquer and develop and conquer and develop, they're going to take the best stuff with them. Alexander the Great, when he conquered the known world, when he died, eventually was buried in Alexandria, which he helped populate because he made, you heard of the Roman road. Rome created some highway systems. Rome started a little bit in the Greek period, but then they eventually come into power after the Greeks. But the Greek language was a common language. The Greek traders traded everywhere, created such a dominant society and a lot of wealth, and that ultimately Alexander the Great's generals couldn't keep it all together like he could. And so 10 years there, it just transformed the society into everybody. We know Greek. I mean, I know your common language, but we all are forced to know Greek at least. And it just has infiltrated everything. It's like in how do we compare this? If you go down past Ocala, if you go down south of South Florida, people are going to be speaking a lot more Spanish than they are English. You're almost in a different country when you get down. The further you get down, Key West is a whole different area. Key West has its own culture too. But the Spanish have influenced all of these, and not Spain. When it came, then it died away. But later, migrants come in, and so you don't want to get it. Well, the Spain come over here, and that's why they're speaking Spanish today. Not necessarily. Through the conquistadors, that came later with other migrants that come in from other countries. But there are still remnants of these cities that still have that there. All right, so just layers upon layers, but how we express ourselves and a mashup of different things. So insights to everything, how to think creatively and critically about reasoning, politics, why laws are a certain way. Do you know that there's a law in, I think it's Kansas somewhere, one city, that says it's illegal to park your elephant, on the main street or something like that? Why would you write that? Well, they had a problem with circuses traveling around and these wild beasts, being of trouble. But what's that got to do with anything? Different places express themselves differently. You need to be aware of them, or you end up with a ticket.
Or go to jail.
Yeah. You can't smoke that here. Well, it's legal in my state. Well, for medicinal purposes, you might be able to. But laws are an expression as well. Sometimes it's called jurisprudence, but be able to think critically and all right, bringing clarity to the future. Today, humanistic knowledge continues to provide the ideal foundation for exploring and understanding the human experience. Investigating a branch of philosophy might get you to thinking about ethical questions that we may not have come up against before. What's the difference between let's go warfare for instance. We express ourselves differently with the technology that we have. Dropping bombs from drones. rules of engagement that I've had with Navy SEALs and Rangers that I follow a JAG officer around the Middle East, and here's the rules of engagement. You can and cannot do this. And what we would do though is if we captured somebody, what they would do is, well, we can't do that, but we'll just give you over to the Russians and let them interrogate you because they'll cut your noses off. Americans should do things differently. That doesn't mean we can't threaten them a little bit. But we should do things ethically. We should do things right. That doesn't mean we haven't had soldiers that broke those laws. But we don't shoot our enemies in the back as an expression of what is a foundation of who we are as Americans, as a country. Makes a difference, especially in war when you got a gun pointed at you. All right, don't dismiss the humanities is where some of this is taken from, and Offbeat, there's some sources there. But that's just that document to get you thinking more about when we go into these different topics about what the humanities are. Now, I've got about 5 minutes to cover one more document. Nah. What I do want you to read is Mapping the Future of the Humanities. That's going to define, it's written by, I think, a Harvard University professor. Remember, there's only specific pages I want you to read out of there. But I do want to touch on, in the closing, about the Apollonian-Dionysian dichotomy. It's a very short document. And really, this is talking about Apollo and Dionysius in Greek mythology. And it's based off of Birth of a Tragedy. And Nietzsche wrote a fragment filed on Music and Words, and he's going to discuss what he thought about the Apollonian and Dionysian dichotomy. Now, with these two Greek, in mythology, you had Apollo, which represents the god of harmony, progress, clarity, and logic. Whereas Dionysius represents disorder, intoxication, emotion, and ecstasy. Someone said, give me some of that. All right? Other people are like, well, I wouldn't dare do that very thing. So you can probably see somebody you know, maybe in your family, that are on both ends of the spectrum. What happens is that you can go to the extremes on either side. Confucius discussed this also. Confucius discussed, we just got to love everybody. Oh no, there must be law and order and justice, but we just need to love everybody. But where do you fall? That's why we have judges to make those decisions, and maybe they might not get it all right, but is there a balance between all love? I just want all love. Why can't we just get no more war? Peace, peace, peace. Sometimes you have to have war in order to bring peace because they break it in your house. I wouldn't dare kill somebody. To protect yourself. And so we have to ask ourselves, where's that balance between disorder, intoxication, emotion, and ecstasy with logic, clarity? Any Star Trek fans, you had Spock on there. It was always a logical response, never emotion. They're an evolved species that have gotten above giving into emotions. But it was always Captain Kirk who would roll the dice to make a decision in the heat of the moment. With passion. Doesn't seem like it's in order. Passion, love doesn't make any sense sometimes, right? So that's what this discussion, what this means. I'm not reading it all, but I'm getting to the heart of it for you, and I want you to read it because there's a sense where you just read in black and white, and you're just getting the facts. But I want you, when you study the humanities, ask yourself, where's the emotion, the intoxication? Think of religions. Sometimes the Native Americans got into what's called peyote, and they get into the spirit world. That's how they got in tune. I'm not saying go out and explore it. I wouldn't dare do such a thing. But there is a sense of the spiritual world which I don't need to be so stiff about. So this whole, you go into a Christian life, you got those are the holy rollers, and you got those that are the frozen chosen. What's the difference between the frozen chosen and the holy rollers? Well, both of them go into heaven, which is sometimes those holy rollers we're afraid they might fly past heaven, and the frozen chosen might be too legalistic, or not everybody's the same. Okay? I don't want you to feel like you're being pigeonholed into certain beliefs, but what you do need to understand is that if you stifle creativity because you want to be precise and logical, then it might not be as beautiful. It'll just be the basic because you wanted to just crouch. This painting has to look perfect. Sometimes imperfection leads to beauties in ways you may not have seen. When we study philosophy, does it have to be precise? What does it mean to be virtuous? What does it mean when we look at Aristotle and when you look at Greek philosophy in Module 2? Don't just read the words. Ask yourself, what is a greater meaning behind it? What is the logical reasoning behind it? And what is a more radical meaning behind it? Well, look at that with Islam. I know Muslims who are radical. I know Muslims who are, try to be more reasonable and level-headed about what was taught. And try to understand who they are and what they believe. At least we'll have a better understanding of why we disagree. Do y'all have any questions? All right. This class will be boring if you look at just as studying and research. Express yourself in a professional way, balance there, in the discussions on those that we discuss online, okay? If you have questions, bring them next week or email them to me, and we'll bring them into class, and we'll jump around a little bit. But next week, what we said, Christianity, and then the week after that, Islam. And we'll pace ourselves, and we might do 2 and 1, maybe get another one in there. It'll be less online work for you to do.
So we need to go in our discussion and do the one that we did in class.
You need to do Module 2.
Okay, so we don't need to do.
You do not have to do a discussion on Module 1. You do need to do the quiz on Module 1. I will rewrite the assignment that's in D2L News. It says you need to turn Module 1 in about October 22nd. No. I'm just exposing you to the stuff, right? And then we're just trying to organize the assignments that way. But, yep. Which module are you supposed to be working on? 2. The discussion and the quiz. But don't forget to do my syllabus quiz. Okay? Thank you, guys. For some reason your schedule changes. You're like, hey, my job will not allow me to come today. And I can see if I can slide you into my online class, if that makes your life a little easier. But it's self-driven. You really have to be disciplined, especially when you've got to do all the discussions that you have to do in a regular semester.